Hello everyone, this is Chantal from glutenfreecooking123.com, and today we are making Maamoul, or Mediterranean date cookies. And the first thing you'll want to do when you are making these Mediterranean date cookies is to get a kitchen scale so that you can get accurate measurements. I'm adding all the dry ingredients first, except for the baking powder. We will be adding that later on in the process. And what I'm adding here is 100 grams of yellow cornmeal and Chantal's all-purpose gluten-free flour, 500 grams of that. And I will leave the recipe link for my all-purpose gluten-free flour blend down in the description box below, as well as the link for this recipe. We are also adding 8 grams of xanthan gum. I'm adding 1 teaspoon of mahlab, which is essentially the seed of a wild cherry tree that has been ground up and it is used as a spice. I'm also adding 1 teaspoon of yeast and 3 tablespoons of sugar and a half a teaspoon of salt. So that's it for our dry ingredients. And once you add all these together, you want to make sure to give them a quick mix just to make sure that all ingredients are well mixed together so that you have a homogeneous no, that's the wrong word. You have a well mixed mixture. Then after you add in the dry ingredients, meanwhile you want to be melting your butter on low heat. And once the butter is melted, as soon as it's hot and melted, you want to pour it in to your dry ingredients. And as you are pouring it in, you want to be mixing the butter into the dry ingredients, basically to stop it from cooking the dry mixture. You don't want it to cook the dry mixture, you just want to incorporate it into the dry mixture while it's hot. That's why you want to be mixing while you're doing it. And it would help if you have something under the bowl so that the bowl isn't shifting everywhere. Maybe a kitchen towel or one of those things that you line the cabinets with so that it doesn't shift everywhere. You know, those those things that help you open jars, whatever they're called, the rubbery. Once you are unable to mix it with the whisk, and it is sort of cooled down enough for you to handle with your hands, you want to get in with your hands and mix it in really well. You want to make sure it's well incorporated. So once you give it a little bit of a kneading, you also want to rub it between your hands to make sure that all the dry ingredients are being coated in with the butter, because this mixture is going to sit overnight to allow the dry ingredients to absorb the butter and for the cornmeal to absorb that butter and to fluff up overnight. So once we are done kneading it and mixing it and rubbing in the butter into the dry ingredients, we are going to cover it up and set it aside to over the counter to rest overnight and absorb all that butter into the dry ingredients. You can set it for up to 24 hours to allow it to do that. I didn't have the luxury to do that. And then the next morning I woke up early in the morning and I started working on this. It was 5 o'clock when I came down and the kids were sleeping. I added 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I also added some rose water, orange blossom water. I added 1.5 teaspoons of that and of each, and I also added 330 grams of milk. Now my measurements are they're not all in grams, and I should have worked on that and should have also provided you guys with the measurements in both grams and volume, but I will try to work on that next on my recipe and provide that for you. And so once you add in all those wet ingredients, now you want to mix in the dough. Mix it using your hands just to make sure that all the ingredients are well incorporated. What is it, baby? Then you're going to cover it and set it aside. and we are going to prepare the date paste that is going to go inside the Mediterranean cookies or the Maamoul. For the date paste, you are going to need 330 grams of the actual date paste. You can get that at the grocery store. A lot of grocery stores carry it. You could also buy it from a Mediterranean store or Lebanese store, Middle Eastern store, whatever, if you have one in your area. If they don't offer it at your grocery store, you could also probably buy it online. I'll leave a link for the one that I buy online. Actually, that's where I get it from. And you are also going to melt 50 grams of butter. You are going to pour the butter into the date paste, and you'll want to try to mix it carefully with your hands. Before you mix it, you want to add in the rose water, and that's 1 teaspoon of rose water and 1 teaspoon of orange blossom water. Then you want to mix it in. So if you have a KitchenAid or a mixer, you might be able to mix it. If by using that, what you might want to do first is warm up the date paste in the microwave for a few seconds before you start mixing everything together. This will allow the date paste to loosen up a little bit. Then you can mix it in a KitchenAid or in a hand mixer. But if you're adventurous like I am, you could sort of fold in the date paste onto the butter and mix it in that way. And eventually the butter is going to cool down a little bit. What you can also do is allow the butter to cool slightly before you mix it in with the date paste. So once that butter is sort of absorbed by the date paste, you want to mix it in really well until it forms sort of a dough, and it's not going to be sticky. You're actually going to be able to, well, it will be a little bit sticky, but you are actually going to be able to take it in between your hands and shape it into a dough ball of the date paste. Once that's done, you want to work on the cookie press, preparing the cookie press. Hold on, baby. So these cookie press molds that I have been given to me by my parents, and I cherish them very much. Actually, those are the traditional cookie mold presses that we use in Lebanon for shaping these date cookies. And for these cookie presses, what you want to do is you want to oil them with some vegetable oil or some sort of oil that does not have any taste to it, because you don't want it to add any taste to the cookie dough. You just want to make sure that it's well oiled so that the cookie dough does not stick to the mold press, and that's going to be a nightmare if you don't oil it and if any dough sticks to it. So make sure it is well oiled. As you can see here, like I am submerging it with oil almost and everywhere that I think the dough might touch it. Then after that, you can start working on your cookie dough, and you are going to take about a golf ball or smaller size of a dough, and you are going to roll it between your hands into a ball, and then you are going to create a well in the center of that ball by using your index finger and poking a hole, not all the way through, but just enough to hose no, to I'm sorry, it's late and I'm trying to find my words, to host the the date paste that you are going to put in it, and you are going to shape sort of a well in there with your index finger as you rotate the dough in between your in your hand, and as you can see and as I'm doing here in the video. And then once you do that, you're going to set that aside, and you are going to oil the palms of your hands. Make sure you have a little bowl filled with a little bit of vegetable oil on hand, and take some and oil your hands with it. And then you are going to grab about a marble size of date paste that we have created, and you are going to roll it between your hands also to form a ball, and you are going to put that inside the cookie dough. And then you are going to enclose the cookie dough around the date paste. Make sure the date paste is not showing anywhere, and then you are going to gently roll the cookie dough in between your hands, just gently, just to kind of give it a nice shape. And you are going to put it inside the mold press, and you are going to flatten it. You want to press hard, but not too hard, because you don't want to squish the cookie. You just want the cookie to take the indentation of the mold press so that it would have these beautiful decorations on it. Another thing that you're going to need is a kitchen towel, because that's what we are going to use to drop the cookie onto as we what word should I use here? You are going to basically beat the mold press at the top edge up against the towel, the kitchen towel. And as you do that, the cookie dough is going to fall onto the kitchen towel with the pretty decorations on it. Then you are going to take it and transfer it onto a pan. And you are going to repeat these steps with the remaining cookie dough and date paste. And later on that morning, my kids woke up and came down and saw me making these cookies, and they love to participate in this tradition with me. And this is a family tradition that we are doing together. This was our tradition in Lebanon with my family. All our families would each family would have a day at their house where everyone would come, and we would help each other and make tons and tons and tons of these cookies for Easter. And we would rotate one day per family, going and helping the other family members to make their Easter cookies. And so you can see their little hands over here helping me. Once you have your pan filled with your beautiful Easter cookies, or Maamoul, you are going to put it in the oven at 350 in a preheated oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and you are going to bake it for 15 minutes or until they are golden brown on top. If you bake them for 20 minutes, they might come out a little bit on the crunchy side. If you bake them for 15 minutes, they will be more on the softer side. Depends how you like them. And I highly encourage you to use the mahlab if you can, because it adds a beautiful flavor to the date cookies. When I didn't have it and I made them without it the first time, they didn't taste like the cookies that I remembered. And I tried my best to replicate the wheat cookies that I remembered, and these came very close to that, almost indistinguishable. Oh no, baby, what's wrong? And I'm super happy with them. I think there could be maybe a few improvements made, but they are super delicious, and I love them. My family loves them. Everyone loves them. I'm sorry, I said for 15 to 20 minutes. It's supposed to be 20 to 25 minutes, or until they are golden brown. And then you are going to remove them from the oven and set them aside. Don't eat them while they're hot, because the date paste is super hot and it will burn you for sure. So you want to wait you want to wait, and please don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe if you are new here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next episode.